Today we're going to be talking about the different parts of the sewing machine, how we thread the sewing machine, as well as the settings that we use um, so we can make a wig on the sewing machine. Is the Singer 4423, and we're just going to go ahead and get started. All right, now, so for the settings, you want to make sure, so let's pretend we're getting ready to sew our wig. And before you stitch the machine or anything, you want to make sure your settings are correct. So for the tension, which will be here at the top, I'll get a close up there. The tension here at the top, you want to make sure that's a 4. And for the width, which is the width of the stitch, you want to make sure that that's at a 6, and that's like at its furthest point, if that helps you remember. And for the length of the stitch, which is going to be here, you want it at a 2 when you're doubling the wefts, and I'll show you what doubling wefts are. Pretty much just putting 2 tracks together to make them a little thicker before you sew them on the cap. So that's doubling wefts. So you want that at a 2. But if we were getting ready to just sew those wefts on a cap, you would just go ahead and put that machine at a 3. So you always toggle between 2 and 3, whether so 2 if you're doubling wefts, and 3 if you're sewing wefts on the cap. And the needle position will always be zigzag right there. So here we have the Singer 4423, of course. And for this particular machine, I like to use the Gutermann thread, and this is how it looks. And there's also one like this where you see the white, it has yellow. That is not the correct one. This is the correct one, and you can get this from my Amazon storefront, and it is the number 10. So that just means, you know, it's the black color, and it's 100% polyester. And it lasts a pretty good while because it's like the thicker spool, but they do come a little smaller than this. But it is on my Amazon storefront, the exact one that you'll need, and it's called Gutermann. And I don't like to use the needle that comes with this machine, so I like to use the needles that are usually used for jeans. I find that these are more durable and they're less likely to break on you because you're sewing a lot of fabric when you're making a wig. And I find that the jean needles work better for me. As you can see, I've used a couple of them, but the numbers are 100/16. And by the time you see this video, I'll probably have added these to my storefront. I just forgot to add them, but I'll get those added for you all. For the settings for the machine, the only thing that will change is when you're sewing the tracks on a cap, those settings, the length of the stitch will change versus when you're actually doubling the tracks. So it'll be 2 different lengths, but everything else will stay the same for the machine. So that's the only thing that you will toggle with back and forth. Just in case you don't know, I'm going to change the needle so you can see how it's done. First, I like to go in, you're going to see a little dowel here. And sometimes you can stick like a utensil in there or like a flathead screwdriver and turn that dowel, but it should be easy to turn. So you're going to turn that dowel towards yourself, so towards this way, and it should loosen up the needle here. But don't turn it too much. We just want to get it loose. We don't want to take it completely out. And that releases your needle. You want to make sure the flat part of the needle is facing towards the back, like the back of the machine. See that flat part with the words on there? You want to make sure that's facing the back of the machine. And how you would know if you have it in there right, is actually not going to go in there if it's not faced the right way, because it has like indentions inside the machine where it will not even go in there if you try, see, the wrong way. So you just make sure that flat part is facing the back and it goes right in. Remember that dowel right here, you'll just turn it away from yourself this time to tighten it up. You're all done. You just installed your needle. We have our needle. That's where we put the thread when we're getting ready to sew. This is our little dowel here. I'm going to go in so you can see. But this is our little dial here. You can turn that back and forth. That just releases the needle when you want to change the needle. All right, and we have the little slot here. If you press this, like move the button to the right, then it's going to release this cover here. And this is where your bobbin is put. So we'll talk more about the bobbin later. And then you just put your bobbin in there. I'll show you how to thread the bobbin and all of those good things. And then once you put the bobbin in, you'll just put this cover back on. You always want to keep this cover on. This is your reverse stitch. So if you want to go backwards, kind of to go over your stitching you did, you would just hit this button. It'll reverse until you release. Once you release, it will stop reversing. It will go into the correct direction. But as long as you hold this down, it will continue to reverse. All right, and this here is like a little cover. I usually take this off when I'm making wigs because it's most of the time it's in my way. You can keep it on here, you know, but I've found that I do a little better when I don't have this on here. Thread the needle up here. Put the thread up here. We'll run it through these little channels here, but I'll introduce this a little more to you later on. This is the tension button. So you just push this back and forth for the tension of the stitching. And then this is your needle position. I always keep my needle position on middle, but you have the option to have it on the left, or you have the option to have it on the right. When I'm making wigs, I just keep it on the middle. This is your width. This is the width of the stitch. I always keep it on 6, and that's the highest point. This is your dial to control the length. This little dial here just controls what kind of stitching you want. This is a straight stitch, zigzag stitch, pretty much the two common ones here, but this is where it gets all fancy with the other stitches. But the stitch looks exactly like the picture if you were to try to create these stitches. But for the wig making, of course, I just leave it on the zigzag stitch. Your dialer over here, if you turn this back and forth, this basically controls the needle. It makes the needle go up and down. So I'm just turning that dial I just showed you, and it's just making the needle go up and down. While we're over here, I want to show you this little presser foot. This actually did not come with the machine. I actually bought this from Amazon, and it's actually in my storefront, so you'll have access to that in case you want to get one. But I find that making wigs on this machine is better with the open footer. So I'm going to show you the actual footer that comes with the machine, but it's a little more closed. This one is more open, and I find that it's easier to get the hair and the cap through the machine with this open footer. It's just more comfortable for me. This is the foot that comes with the machine. See how it's closed? I'm just going to take this one off so you can compare the two. This is the one that comes with the machine on the right, and then the one on the left is the one that I bought from Amazon. And this is called an open presser foot, and this is a closed. So you see the difference in those. I like this one better. It just makes it easier for me to sew wigs. There's like a release button back here that releases that foot. You see how that foot dropped? That's the release button. If you want to put that foot back on there, you would just pick up on it, press that button, and it's going to pick it up. Okay, so I also want to show you all, this actually belongs on the ground. This is what your foot goes on. So I'm going to pretend my hand is the foot. And so this controls the machine when you're sewing. So the more you press down, the faster it goes. See that? Kind of like driving. So it's like, just think of it as the gas for the to help the machine go. All right, so now we're pretty much going to use our Gutermann thread, and we're just going to thread the machine so we can then thread a bobbin, and I can show you what a bobbin looks like as well. So first we're just going to start by threading the machine. And we just have to find, this thread is new, so we just have to find where it starts, and it looks like it starts about right here. And we just want to unravel that until it comes loose like so. And I'll see, can I get a little closer here? And this little, hold on, this little slot comes out, this little piece right here, because this holds the thread in place. I'm going to see, can I get a better angle? Just a moment, guys. All right, I believe this is a better angle for us. So we're just going to start by, it's a hole right here, so you're just going to pretty much put the thread on the hole like that, and it'll just slide right in. And if you got paper, it'll just fall through the paper. And you will take this little piece here, and this comes with your machine. It'll usually be in the accessory bag, and you'll just put that together, and that's going to hold that thread in place for you when it gets to unraveling when you're sewing. You want to put a little tension on the thread so you can make sure, so you want to hold it from each end. Let's see if I can get out the camera. You want to hold it from each end, and you're going to take it through this little loop right here. You're going to take that under there, and you'll hear it catch. And then after you do that, and the instructions are actually on here. So this is number 1. This is number 2. So you're going to take this around, and then I'm going to see if I can get a little closer. So once you take that around, you'll see it's like a little slot, and you'll get that needle in between. See that slot right there? You'll get that needle in between that slot. And then that's when you're going to take it, keep a little tension on it so it doesn't fall out. And you're going to take it around this little button if you're threading the bobbin. So you'll make one complete loop. Make sure you stay in the silver. Don't go under that silver. So you should be in between, see? In between that button and that silver disc. You're going to take that around one complete time. And then now your thread is ready to thread a bobbin. I'm going to come back a little bit. And you just bring it over here. And then this is where your bobbin lies. And then you'll go ahead and thread your bobbin. We'll thread the bobbin a little later, but that's how you thread the bobbin. All right, so we're just going to go back over here. Remember, we went number 1, number 2, between those little discs here. You see that? And then we're going to bring it down into this little slot. And that's number 3. Then we have number 4 here. Let's see if I can get a little closer for you all. We have number 4 here, and we're going to bring that around that U. And at this time, you need to be turning your dial, and then you can turn it any way, but make sure that little neck comes up, that little silver neck you see coming up there. Make sure it's as far as it goes, all the way to the top when you're doing this part. So after you take it through 4, you're going to take it through this little neck here, trying to get it in 5. So you're just putting it through this piece right here, just like that. And it's going to catch. See how that caught and it went around? Then you're going to bring it down. And after you bring it down, that puts you at number 6. And then once you get to number 6, you'll just bring it around this little curvature slot here, and it's going to fall in like that. And now you're ready to thread the needle. I'm going to thread the needle from front to back, and I'm hoping you all can see this. I'm zoomed in as far as I can be, but we have the needle hole here, and we're just going to thread that needle like that, and it should end up towards the back of the machine like that. These are bobbins for the machine. They're just clear. I have these on my Amazon storefront as well, and this is what I use. These are the kind I use for this machine, and we're just going to take one out of here. They're all the same. This is how it looks up close. And so basically we're transferring thread from our spool to this bobbin so it can go under here. And this is the second part of our stitch. Bobbin thread is the stitch that's underneath your cap. So this top thread is the top stitch. So you need like a stitch sandwich, for instance. So you have the top thread, which is the top stitch. Then you have your material that you're stitching. Then you have the bottom thread from the bobbin. I'm going to show you again how to set up the machine at the top to be able to thread this bobbin. And this is where all the magic happens here. It pretty much works almost the same. It's just a couple of more, instead of taking it through here and then taking it down here, we're still going to take it through here, through number 2. But we're going to make sure it's in that little slot there. You see that slot hanging out? Make sure it's in between that. And then instead of swinging it this way for threading, we're going to swing it this way for a bobbin. And then we're just taking it through between that nozzle and that disc and taking it completely around. And then that's when I'm gonna just cut a little bit of this off because I pulled too much. But that's when we'll take it through the bobbin here. So as you can see, we'll take it through that bobbin hole. I always take it from the bottom to the top, not from the top to the bottom. So I always take it like this. And you're gonna hold that string until it catches. So I'm gonna bring it over here so you can see. So you're going to hold that string until it catches, but it's not going to do anything until you seal this closed like this. Keep hold to that string until that machine grabs. You're going to press your little gas and it's going to go. And you can let that go now because it has caught it. So we're just going to go until it bounces itself back. Once it's full enough, it will stop itself. You don't have to go this fast. You can actually go slow. And see how it stopped itself? Open that door back up so you can take it off. Because see, if you try to take it off, yeah. So open that. And then you're just going to cut. And there's your threaded bobbin. So there's another thing that I forgot to show you all. There is a button here that you can press, see, up and down. That will drop the footer. This little clear button back here. I'm going to put the bobbin into the machine. So remember, you're just, it's a little black button here. And you just slide that over to the right and it'll open that little door here. There we go. And we'll take that off. And when you put the bobbin in, you want to put the bobbin in with the thread to your left and not your right. So you want to have the thread to your left like this. I call it a notch. You'll just make sure that the thread catches onto that little silver notch. So if you have to, hold the bobbin so it doesn't keep unwinding, and you're going to put the thread behind there, and then you can put it also behind this little silver piece like that. All right, you're just going to close the door with the thread hanging out just like that. And then you want to grab a hold of your top thread, which is the thread that's in the needle. I'm just going to back up a bit, and you're going to turn that that dowel I showed you on side of the machine. Turn it towards you, and keep turning it towards you until keep holding that thread that's in the needle, and keep turning it towards you until it picks up that bobbin thread. You see how it's moving, and now you see that there's a loop here because it picked up that bobbin's thread. And now you can actually pick it up and you'll see that thread moving through the machine because it's coming to the top now. See, it's leaving the bottom and coming to the top. Both of those threads are now at the top. And then you can just cut off that excess because you don't need like a huge amount of string. And then you can just put that to the back of your machine. Now we have the machine settings done. We have the thread in the holder here. We have our bobbin underneath and it's threaded and really ready to go. We have the strings on top of the machine, both on the same side, and we have that to the back. Now your machine is ready to make a wig.